Hi everyone, I'm Zan, your astrologer, and welcome to your midweek energy update, a general tarot guidance taking a look at how the energies of this week are likely to be influencing our lives. And this reading also has a guidance part and things to be careful with. The funny part to this reading is that usually the cards which depict the overall energy of the week are very aligned, usually most of the time, with the astrological picture happening in the sky. And that just kind of proves the synchronicity and the interconnection in everything, where one spiritual technique and methodology might be confirmed or be mirrored by another. But this week, the cards show a totally different picture, at least how we are going to be experiencing this week, opposed to what the astrological influences might depict. Maybe it's not a direct, let's say, contradiction or dichotomy between the two, because the astrological influences can be felt so very many different ways. It's just that I wasn't really expecting these cards to pop out like this, in the sense that you can see the Three of Swords and the Two of Swords and this Nine of Coins. They're almost like depicting a Mercury retrograde season, where we think, then think again, make a plan, then immediately fix it, patch it up, upgrade it, modify it, change it, and then once again. This is almost like where we cannot insert a very clear, very well thought out command of what we want to do in the future. It's almost like perhaps maybe we cannot make up our minds when to do something, when a specific course of action has to be accomplished, when an important choice and decision has to be made. And contrary to this, perhaps our instincts, our most inner feelings, our intuition is perhaps showing us the opposite of this, that we need to act now, the time is now. Everything that we need to have in our lives to go out and do our, symbolically said, jobs, our purposes, our life path. It can even be professional. It can be anything which has to do with material transactions. And not to mention just going out there and living, experiencing, doing. So basically it's like this inner dynamism that we so wish to enact, to experience, to live on the external as well. Maybe all of that is gonna be blocked, not just by our mental spheres, not just by our thoughts, but by practical things which might have to do, paperwork, maybe some changes in modus operandi, our communications. Certain agreements might not be able to come together, certain promises might not be respected. So despite of what we are feeling deep inside, as in naturally that Sun and Venus in Aries and Mars in Gemini, that we have to live now, do now, perform, accomplish, take action, and simply said just live. All of this once again is totally blocked by, external reality, but especially the communication and the paperwork and the legislation, maybe more restrictions, maybe what centralized power enable or not enable, maybe all of our contacts, all of our allies, associates, partners, society in general. So there is a lot of blockage here. So on one hand, this energy shows us that even though we are so very ready to take action. We know what we want, we know what we desire, we know what we deserve, we know what we worked for, because the frustration actually comes from the fact that we have worked for this, we have prepared for this, we have been planning all of this, and surprise, surprise, the moment when it has to enter our lives according to our expectation, it is not showing up, it is deadly silence. Or actually quite the opposite, more complications, more delays, more setbacks, more personal fears, uncertainty, more things not aligning and not coming together. So this leads to a very strong sense of dissatisfaction. It is this Three of Swords, reversed of course, where it is heartache, where it is naturally our wounds as well, our fears, our insecurities, everything that disappointed us in our lives, returning in a minor or a more symbolic form, and in the shape and form of these blockages that I speak about. And this will be like an ultimate test to our patience, because there is a side of us which is so very ready and aligned and passionate and everything that we could possibly need on the inside, and yet there is outer reality coming with a full stop. Stop in your tracks, because certain plans are not gonna work, because certain calculations are not gonna add up. Maybe that job you were expecting, the promise of financial help that you were expecting, maybe something you heard from a bank or institution or government or anything like that turns out to be an empty promise. Maybe what you agreed upon on the interview is not gonna happen the way you think it is. Maybe someone will disappoint you. Maybe someone will totally not meet your expectations at all. Maybe certain relationships, partnerships, friendships, alliances are gonna meet a moment of stagnation, and that is almost like inviting conflict into your life, only if you kind of go with the flow and know that this is just a blockage. It doesn't mean termination or anything. Is that relationship, connection, partnership, or any kind of alliance gonna survive this? So this is a lot of frustration. And this Three of Swords, even though it's reversed, and in reverse position, it means that it's not overwhelming. It is not like you at your most vulnerable. It is not like your heart, soul, or anything being shattered into a million pieces. It's almost like you know that you're disappointed, but you're also trying your hardest to cope, to choose the rational, logical things, to try your very best to be patient, go with the flow. So this is like a kind of heartache, a disappointment, but at the same time you're also working in order to not allow this to dominate your everyday, your thoughts, your feelings, etc. So this is also a lot of resistance from your side, which is actually quite good, because if this is a karmic test to see how patient you become, well, you're passing this test. But at the same time, there is that Two of Swords reversed, which means information, communication, truth, practical information entering your life. So at the same time, there is also reality hitting you. There is also this fact that you will know that for certain things, it's not the right time to act. It's not the right time to, take a very symbolic action, to invest all your passion, all your soul, everything that you have into something specific. This is where everything is almost like warning you, telling you through like practical, down-to-earth information to be more patient and not rush into things. So if we're gonna have a lot of legal inconveniences, perhaps paperwork, perhaps the dates, perhaps, agreements, contracts, partnerships not turning out the way we want them to do, it is a setback, it is an inconvenience, but ultimately it is serving our greatest good. Wherever we are going to be stopped in this present moment, well, know that being stopped, even if it's an inconvenience, even if it's a delay, even if it's not the right time for something big that you have been preparing for the past, 10 months, know that it's actually towards your greater good. Because this Aries season, the Sun and Venus in Aries, and Mars, well, with the North Node and Mars trine Saturn, would want us to get immersed fully into our desires, passions, etc. It is almost like the stars are asking us to take action, but wherever we are stopped in our tracks, that is actually divine guidance telling us, don't follow the world, don't follow the energy, be wiser than that and just wait and be patient. Because certain opportunities that appear are primordial. They are just a manifestation of our most, let's say, imperfect desires. Just superficial things. Things that might give us a solution but in a very insignificant manner. So let's just be more patient, let's just wait, because Aries season is 30 days long. And this is just the very beginning, so let's not be panicked, let's not be frightened, let's not see this as doom and gloom. Because even these blockages are actually serving that 9 of coins in upright position. So our independence, our freedom, our long-term well-being, and this is where, if we want to invest everything that we have, may that be money, work, passion, whatever we have planned for ourselves for the future, if we want to invest it into something, well, that something truly has to be worth it, and the universe will not allow us to squander our past work, basically. May that be inner work or practical work in the practical sense, money, resources, time, effort, etc. If we are stopped in our tracks right now, well, then know that that is actually a benevolent force inviting you to be patient because you haven't seen anything yet. There are better or bigger opportunities to come, and there is also the part where the world in general is very unstable right now. So even if you're ready, but the world is not, the soil in which you plant the seeds of intention, that has to be fertile. You are not going to plant when you know that a landslide is coming. So symbolically speaking, this is the situation. We're ready, we have the seeds, we have the water, we have the gardening skills. We're absolutely ready to make that step, but we're not doing it when there is a landslide. So we have to wait for this landslide to be over, and then we can plant. And the delays and the inconveniences and us being disappointed by other people are part of this invitation to be more patient and even wiser. Sometimes true wisdom is when we tell our instincts that not right now. I know how desperately we want it, we feel it, we're aligned, but not now. Yet still, it is much wiser to wait until things kind of show this fertility in external reality as well. So society and the economic situation, socially, politically, in every possible sense, where we can actually have the psychological comfort to live our stories, to live our passions, to do whatever it is that we need to do. And the following days, this next week is definitely not a week of stability. It is a week of big chaos. So we have to be very patient. And not forget that by the end of the week, we might be seeing in a very clear manner why all the blockages had to happen, because this is leading us to our true independence, freedom, and financial stability. So we need to be patient and see what, for example, Sundays, the very end of the week, full moon in Libra is going to be revealing to us personally in all of our lives. Now, collectively speaking, this is once again fear, but fear reaching an all-time high, which means that there is going to be social instability and chaos in the world, uprising, protests, Two of Swords, something is going to reach daylight, an information, a secret, a truth, which is going to spark up people. They're going to challenge, let's hope legally, in a legal manner, as in the court of justice, the decisions of centralized power and certain elements which were under investigation. Maybe people either are going to be shocked by what is revealed by the investigation, or the results of the investigation are going to be fake and people will know that, and this will cause a massive turmoil. Anyway, it is going to be about money, economic stability. People want that, they need that, they desire that, but it's not being given to them. So this will cause a massive unrest and further turmoil and further unfavorable evolution. Perhaps the legal side of all this global turmoil, for example, questions about equality, fairness, equity, non-discrimination, etc. So all of these will be main issues. So basically, astrologically speaking, a very strong Mars and a very strong North Node, because Mars conjunct North Node is an infusion of energy motivating us to take action, take initiative, to do things for our future. But at the same time, Mars, when combined with a lot of fear energy that is existing permanently, it's a permanent part of our world right now. There are people who fuel this non-stop, 24/7. Well, that is when, we kind of get what we fear. And, there are things that don't depend on us, but rather they depend on the outside reality, however the world is in that moment. And it's all those things that don't depend on us that are not very aligned because of this chaos that is sweeping over the world. So that will represent the setback and the blockages. It doesn't matter as much that our inner worlds are so empowered and aligned, because when it's not ideal to do big things because the world is unstable, it is what we have to go through. We just have to go with the flow, and even when the flow is blocked, then we have to somehow work our hardest so that those blockages won't turn us against ourselves. So we need to be really, really patient, because basically not being able to do as we feel, as we are guided, as we are motivated by our instincts, it's not the end of the world. It's nothing new, nothing that we haven't done before. It may come as a disappointment because it happens now when we're so ready and we've been through so very, very much, and we want a moment of respite, of healing, and of course pleasure, and we're not able to get it because of everything that doesn't depend on us. But this doesn't mean that we're defeated, that our dreams are not gonna be lived, not gonna be experienced, that they're just illusions. This may be a reality check, but it's not one which is permanent. It just tells us that right now things are unstable, and that's it, nothing else. Not that we're not worthy, not that our plans, desires, goals are not aligned, not correct, not what we have to do. It's just that, like it or not, we have to wait a little bit. And as I said, towards the end of the week, we might receive clarity on a totally new level, where we can even see the big picture, that 9 of coins. And moving on, this is exactly what the guidance is telling us. It doesn't matter what happens on the outside. King of Wands is our passion, whatever we want to do and accomplish. because it is a very dynamic and it is a doer. It is an action-oriented card. We are taking responsibility for our lives, for our happiness, for everything that is in our reality very seriously. We know that we have to give it to ourselves. We have to create it. We have to fight for it. Everything depends on us. We know this. And we prepared ourselves for this very intensely. And we have invested a lot of energy and passion and effort into our own well-being, into our own empowerment. And everything that we have invested is not going anywhere. It's not lost. It will be there always. All the good that we have done through inner work is not going to disappear. It's not going to be erased. That is still there. It will exist and it will matter a lot. Even if we may feel a little bit blocked right now, that doesn't mean that we cannot still stay focused on our goals and dreams, on everything that is so very important for us. Even if we don't feel like fantastic, even if our passions are actually turning against ourselves right now a little bit, as in frustration that you cannot live it, feel it, even though you know that you're so ready, you're so worth it, you're so capable. And that is why we have to kind of be able to invest this passion in a different way, perhaps in a symbolic way, where we just focus on the energy, on the desire. Maybe we can just fantasize about them. But whatever we do, we must not abandon it. We must not allow this to make us feel defeated. It must not discourage us. As I said, all the work that we have done is not gonna disappear. It will still be there. So we just have to wait for the best moment to take action, that 2 of Wands. And if that moment is not now, it's absolutely fine. We have worked way too much and we have invested way too much in our future goals and desires and rediscovering ourselves and coping with all of the problems that we have been through in 2020 and even before, to stop, to abandon it right now. If we think about it, well, this is nothing new. We have been through situations like this before and we can handle it. So this is where we must truly apply self-discipline and just stay motivated even when we're blocked in external reality. And that means that, like it or not, we still have to wait and just observe and process and wait for the opportunities to become more ideal, so that when we do invest, when we do take action, when we set out on the path to accomplish, well, that will lead us to exactly where we need to be and not be just a compromise or be something that is just a quick fix and it won't take care of our problems for the long term. Remember, we are aiming for a long-term stability, to a long-term investment of our passions and everything that we are. So we don't want quick fixes. That is why we're being blocked. And ultimately, to be careful with, here we have the 6 of Cups and the 10 of Wands. Well, this advises us that, like it or not, this is going to be processed and felt through and experienced by all of us as a burden, as a cross that we are carrying on our backs, as a karmic blockage where we might not understand why it's happening. Why us? Have we done something wrong again? Have we made a bad choice again? But this is where we just have to accept that some things are not personal. When collectively big bumps, big pivotal moments arrive for all of us, as in collective karma, well, of course, our personal lives are going to be a little bit stagnating, may reach a full stop so that we can process whatever is going on in the world. And if the influences are very negative, that reach us from external reality. As in, people are in a very bad state right now because they had enough. Whenever the human mind cannot process the logical thread of what they're living through, well, of course it turns into fear, insecurity, feeling ungrounded, and ultimately it goes into hysteria and mass psychosis, so to speak. And this is a major setback for everyone. This is a major setback collectively. So basically we must be patient until collectively we somehow manage to get over this. And next week is gonna be one of those moments when it's gonna be rather frustrating hard for all of us collectively. So we just need to allow this to take place, but not take it personally. Yes, the inner child will not understand why things are not happening when they should be happening, but you are also an inner adult who can understand that it's not your fault that things are taking such a turn in the world. And like it or not, we have to adapt ourselves. This is also the reason why the North Node is in Gemini. It's teaching us how to adapt to anything. And sometimes we just have to work with what we have in our lives, even if that is things not being very clear, things being a little bit blocked, or contradictory information reaching us from external reality. That doesn't mean that we're defeated. We can still adapt. We just need to try our hardest to stay sane, to stay grounded in whatever we can ground ourselves into, and not allow the frustrations of the inner child, the unhappiness it might want to pump in our beings. The inner child is still a child, and this is how it cries out that it wants to be alive, it wants attention, it wants to exist, basically. And also, those of you who are parents, well, if your inner child feels this way, imagine how your true, as in flesh blood child might feel. So this is a very hard period for children in general, for young people. So we really, really need to be patient with ourselves and each other. And every single cross is lighter, more bearable and supportable if we share the burden with our loved ones. So emotionally, if we try our best to connect with a person who we truly love, and this love support is mutual, this is the key to cope with whatever is going on. Well, this concludes the guidance for this week. I do hope that you enjoyed it and you found it useful. Thank you for listening, and thank you for all the kindness, the support, the likes, shares, and beautiful comments. If you'd like to support my channel and my work, feel free to donate. You can find the link to my PayPal in the description below. Thank you again for listening. Wish everyone an amazing week, and even if things don't turn out the way we expect them to turn out, that doesn't mean anything. Stay strong and, be there with yourself.